Let me start with something most people don't realise. The problem with unfinished tasks isn't that they're unfinished, it's that they follow you. And if you carry them into a new year, they quietly tax your focus, your energy, and your ability to build momentum before January has even really started. That's what this video is about. Because the cost of unfinished tasks is far higher than most people think. Right now, as the year closes, a lot of people feel familiar pressure. I should wrap this up, I should finish more, I shouldn't start the new year with loose ends. And that pressure feels logical. But what if the real issue isn't the unfinished work? It's the mental load it creates. For a long time I thought unfinished tasks were a discipline problem. If I just worked harder, stayed more focused, or pushed through the discomfort, they'd disappear. But they didn't. They multiplied, and more importantly, they started to shape how work felt. Here's the part most people miss. Your brain doesn't experience unfinished tasks as neutral. It experiences them as open loops, and open loops demand attention. Not loudly, not consciously, but constantly. This is why you can sit down to work in January already feeling behind. Nothing new has happened yet, but your system is already carrying weight from things you meant to do, decisions you postponed, projects you half-started, ideas you didn't close. That weight doesn't disappear just because the calendar changes. I lived this for years. Every new year felt like a reset on paper, but not internally. I'd start January with optimism, and within days that old sense of pressure would return. I wouldn't understand why until I realised I wasn't starting fresh at all. I was starting loaded. This is the hidden cost of unfinished tasks. They occupy mental bandwidth. Your brain keeps a background list of things to remember, things to decide, things to revisit. And the longer that list lives only in your head, the more energy it consumes. Research is very clear on this. Unresolved tasks increase cognitive load. They reduce working memory. They make decision making harder. They increase stress even when you're at rest. So when you carry unfinished tasks forward, you don't just carry work, you carry noise. That noise shows up in subtle ways. You feel scattered more easily. Starting feels heavier than it should. Focus drops faster. Small decisions feel exhausting. And then people conclude, I must not be motivated. But motivation isn't the issue. Clarity is. Here's something important to understand. Your brain is not designed to store open loops long term. It's designed to resolve them. When it can't, it stays alert. That alertness feels like tension, and tension becomes your baseline. This is why rest often doesn't work when you're carrying unfinished tasks. You can stop working, but your brain doesn't stop tracking. So you come back still feeling heavy, still feeling behind. This was a turning point for me. I realised I wasn't tired from work. I was tired from holding everything open, and no amount of rest was going to fix that. This is where the overwhelm audit comes into the momentum reset method. Not as a productivity exercise, but as a relief mechanism. The goal isn't to finish everything. The goal is to externalize the pressure. Because once a task is clearly defined, captured, and understood, your brain can stand down. It no longer has to keep reminding you. That alone restores energy. But here's the mistake people make at year end. They try to complete everything, finish every task, close every loop, tie every loose end, and that usually backfires. Completion is not always the solution. Resolution is. Resolution means deciding what something is, deciding what happens next, or deciding to consciously let it go. Your brain cares about clarity, not perfection. This is where I went wrong for a long time. I believed unfinished meant failure, so I carried guilt alongside the tasks. That guilt made the mental load heavier, and the heavier it got, the harder it was to start anything new. Let me say this clearly. Unfinished tasks are not moral failures. They're signals. Signals that something lacked clarity, capacity, priority, or safety to engage. Judging them only adds weight. This is why January often feels harder than expected. People assume the new year will feel light, but they bring last year's pressure, last year's expectations, last year's open loops, and then wonder why motivation disappears. Momentum doesn't start with action. It starts with relief, and relief starts with reducing mental load. Here's the shift I want you to consider. Instead of asking, what can I finish before the year ends? Ask, what am I carrying that no longer needs to live in my head? That question changes everything. This is the practical heart of the momentum reset method. Before we build momentum, we reduce friction. Before we add structure, we remove noise. Before we move forward, we lighten the load. When I started doing this, January stopped feeling like a restart. It felt like a continuation, but a cleaner one. I wasn't fighting the past, I was acknowledging it. Here's what happens when you reduce open loops. Your mind quiets, your focus stabilizes, your energy returns, not explosively, but steadily, and suddenly small actions, well, they feel possible again. This is why I don't believe in year-end sprints. Pressure at the finish line creates exhaustion at the start. Resolution creates momentum. If you want to try this right now, here's a simple reset. Don't organize, don't prioritize, don't judge. Just write down everything that feels unfinished. Tasks, decisions, projects, promises. Get them out of your head. That alone will shift something. Then, and this is important, don't try to solve them all. Just decide, continue, defer, or release. That's resolution. And resolution tells your nervous system it's handled. This is how you stop the past from draining the future. Not by finishing everything, but by closing the loops that matter. If you've been feeling behind already, this is likely why. Not because you didn't work hard, but because you've been carrying too much. And you don't need to carry it into the new year. In the next video, we'll talk about why rest alone doesn't restore momentum and what actually does, because momentum isn't about energy, it's about conditions. For now, let this land. You don't need to prove anything to the calendar. You need to reduce the invisible load so your brain can engage again. That's how the new year starts differently. If this resonated, let me know in the comments. And if you want to keep moving forward with clarity instead of pressure, subscribe to the channel. This series is designed to help you do exactly that.